guys, if you're new here, I absolutely love colouring in. I made a video previously showing off all my completed books. This is all of them. I spend a lot of time colouring, as you can see. And I thought I would share my tips, tricks, and colour a page with you guys. And today's page will be from the new Coco Wyo book, Comfy Corner. And just to show my credentials, here's my most recent page. There's another one. But yeah, let's get into it. Before we begin colouring, it's best to discuss markers and which ones perform best. I own a lot of markers. I have my different thoughts. The first one I'll discuss is Ohuhu. This is my most recent edition. They are the more expensive side, but when I tell you these are perfection, they are so smooth, they blend like a dream. Now the first one is this chiseled end. Every one of these have a fine tip. And then there's these ones here, which are the Bobby Good collection with the brush tip. Each one works beautifully, it's just personal preference. But I thought I would demonstrate each option just to give you an idea. First up is the chiseled end, which I really like and I've used for the longest time. It's what I started with. I really like using it for added texture and style for my artworks as well. Then you have the brush tip. I really like it. I feel like it gives it different widths, different texture, different final results. It's really beautiful. For the colouring, it is very similar to the chiseled end, but once again, it is personal preference. The Ohuhu Nude Pack, I love it for my artworks like realism, skin. It's perfect for that. Definitely recommend this. Okay, so now it's time to discuss my massive collection of random markers. In this bunch, I've got Kmart, I've got Mart, I've got Temu, I've got everything. So first off, let's discuss Mart. My Mart collection has the chiseled end. I really like this collection. I still come back to the Mart. Colors are great. They show what's on the top 9 times out of 10. They're smooth, they blend well. My only issue with them is that there's not many grays to a pack, which sort of sucks in my opinion because I love my grays. But affordability side, these are fantastic for what you pay. Now let's discuss the most affordable pack, which is definitely Temu. Temu are great in a sense of affordability, but I will be honest, they are very wet, they are very hard to blend, and they will make your paper crispy. I only come to the Temu ones when I'm desperate for a grey or a brown, but yeah, very rarely do I reach for a Temu pen just because they also do leak. Born markers are great, you can get them from Officeworks. I very rarely lean for a Born marker, I'm not gonna lie to you. I will prefer Mart or Kmart, which I'll get to next, but they do have great colours, they don't really dry out quick either. I have had a couple of these bust on me though, keep that in mind, but these are good for what you pay for and you get so many grays. Last but not least is the Kmart markers. I love their markers. I bought the big pack of them and that lasted me a while and that was great for a beginner. So if you're beginning, the Kmart big packs, they're fantastic. They also have little packs, so they're the round markers, not the square ones. They're good too. Definitely my top choice for quality that is affordable. Now my favorite part, the white pens. I've bought a couple brands. So first off are these two from Amazon. Honestly, not my favorite. I got recommended these and the payoff is not worth it in my opinion. Then there's this white pen that I got from Officeworks. It's fine. It's not a favorite, but it does the job. And then this one's my baby. I love this pen. This pen, I've bought so many of them. The Posca pen, hopefully I'm not butchering that, but these are fantastic. They're a paint pen, so they are more crisp. Now that we got that out the way, it's time to color. Now before we begin, it's important to put something underneath your page so it doesn't bleed through. No matter what marker you use, I'm sure it'll go through. So I use these clear sheets. I got these given to me by Ohuhu Bobby Goods collection. But what I used to use before that was cardboard paper, glitter paper, so something thick, and lemonade paper. Just anything that would prevent it from going through. Another really good idea is going onto Pinterest and getting some color inspiration. I really enjoy this just to keep it all cohesive and really pretty. I ultimately chose this blue and yellow theme. I felt like it was giving morning meadow. And for this page, I'll be using the Ohuhu Bobby Good pens just because I really enjoy this pack. So let's start with lighting. Wherever the sun is pointing is where the light will go. So if it's to the right, it'll go in the right angle, and if it's in the middle, it'll come straight down. This is important just so then you know shadows and lighting. And it's always good to have where you want it in mind so then when you're coloring, you can sort of map out where you want it. So you'll see me a few times sort of point from that angle and come down just to make sure I'm getting that lighting correct. So let's start with the water. We're going to pop some yellow on there so the sun's reflecting. And then we're going to go in with this light blue color, just sideways motions for now. And then we're going to go in with a slightly darker blue just to add some more ripples, and you can even map out the shadows just a little bit, so in front of the main character, underneath lily pads, ducks, etc. And you will see in a second I mess up a little bit. That is totally fine, don't stress, because it's easy to fix. You also don't need the brush tip for this type of technique, you can use the chisel. Once again, I'm checking where that sun's coming down, and that's where the shadows will go. They'll be on the opposite side of whatever the sun is hitting. And then once again, going in even darker. It's much easier if you start from light to dark with pens, just so then you can layer it. And if you make a mistake, it's easier to fix rather than something really dark. And then I'm going back in with my lighter color just to blend everything out. And then I'm placing an even darker blue in those shadow areas. Now it's time for under the water. So we're grabbing our clear pen and just laying this down where the light would hit the most. This will make it easier to blend the yellow on top of it. You'll notice that on top of the water I did a side to side motion. Now that we're under the water, we're going to do an up and down motion as if the sun rays are coming down under the water. And once again, we're doing our light blue to the dark blue to the darkest blue. Now it's on to the next colour, which is green. And before I begin, I mark out the areas that I know will be green, so then it's cohesive. So I start with the trees with this sour green colour, just laying it flat. Now my camera did die. I love that. I love when I'm filming and it messes up and I don't notice. What I did was I added shadows into the trees where the sun wouldn't be touching, so opposite to where we laid that yellow. We're not going in with a really dark green, we're sticking to that a little darker green. And I also did these strokes down because these are pine trees, I think, so they have that sort of long leaves look. And don't be too specific on this, you can be really messy with it because we'll go over it and blend it out with our lighter green. Pine trees, I normally go for this long leaves look, but with any other type of tree, I normally do dots. And then it's onto painting our little froggy and leaves. I deliberately left the grass because I didn't know exactly what shade of green I wanted, and I can always come back to that later. I'm just layering the little bit darker greens on top of each other just to create that shading. And you don't have to worry too much about the yellow, just avoid it a little bit because yellow blends into green really nicely. And now it's time for our browns. So there's the bread, the mushrooms, and the dirt underneath. I'm leaving the trunk of the tree alone for now just because I don't know what colour I want it yet. And then you'll see here I messed up again, but it's fine. And then with the pointed tip of the pen, I am just creating little dots around just to give it that dirt texture. And then I go in with a little bit darker brown, and this is what I actually ultimately decide to put the trunk as. And then I chose this really light yellow for the frog and the basket, and I decided that the duck would be a baby duck and that the main dog character really likes the colour yellow. And then with orange, I randomly decided orange because I felt like it fit nicely. I made the fish and the boots and the beaks orange. And then adding shading to orange, you never go with red, you go with brown. And then I added little strokes to the basket just to make it look like it's a weave basket, so just little sideways lines. And then I'm adding little dots to the fish. And I finally chose a green for the grass. I went with this honeydew green colour. I felt like it really matched the aesthetic quite nicely. And you'll notice with the bike, they are see-through at the wheel. So I made the grass poke through at the bottom. With bubbles, I like using 3 colours, normally the colours of the water. So I go in with yellow, that light blue, and then that slightly darker blue. Blend them together with the clear pen. Now this is where lighting is important again, because we're doing shadows. So we're gonna put some shading in front of the frog, beside the dog, under the trees, around the boots, under the bike. And we're just starting light. We're doing that lightly. We're doing that slightly darker green, building up to a little bit darker. And now we're gonna go in with these other Ohuhu grey markers. So these are green grey, perfect for grass. So we're just going to add some more depth around those areas we just put that lighter green. And I added a little bit to the trees as well, and anywhere I thought fit best. And now I'm going in with these other two Ohuhu markers in a lighter warm grey. This is just for the dog, the duck, and the bunnies. And you'll notice I go back and forths a lot just because I like, for example, the dog would be a fluffy dog, so I'm making sure that it's got that texture to it, but also that the grey is nicely blended. And even though I said it, we're getting two Temu markers in a darker warm grey for the rocks. Temu markers are fine if you're using them for little things, not for the whole thing, because that's when your paper gets a bit crusty. So seeing how the light is coming from that left angle, it won't hit the back of the rocks, so we'll make the back dark and behind the bike. And then I'm going in with this Montmartre grey just for the tyres and different parts of the bike. And to keep the picture cohesive, I also decided to put it on the trunk and went back in and blended it, of course. Going in with the warm light that I used for the dog, I put it in different areas like the basket. And I'm just adding grey wherever I think it would fit. And this is why my greys run out, because I really like going in with grey afterwards just to make things even deeper. Then for the grass, which we can see with this beautiful pen angle just right in front of the camera, I'm doing little strokes upwards, just pretending like it is grass, just little strokes. This just sort of gives the idea of grass. And I go in with the dark green in those shadow areas, just so then it's grass everywhere. Now for my favorite part, the highlights with the white pen. I love this part so much. And what's even better is I wasn't recording when I started. Sorry guys. So wherever we place that yellow is also where we're most likely going to place the white. I put it through the tree leaves a little bit as well, and then I put it in the grass also. So wherever the light is hitting it is where the white will go. I also like adding it to the fish, like as in texture, and the bubbles, and adding some more dots to the dirt. Now it's time for the water. There's two different ways we can do this. We can do it rounded, like the picture on the left. We can do it side by side, like the picture on the right. I'm gonna do the picture on the right, where we're doing side by side. I feel like it fits this picture best. So wherever the water hits something, like these rocks, the land, the dog's feet, the lily pads, the ducks, I add like these random little squiggly lines and dots just to make it look like the water's hitting up against it. Not perfect at all, messy lines. And don't be afraid to go over the black either. That's what makes it even more like water. One of my favorite things to add to water also is like this shiny little 4-point stars everywhere. Like I feel like it gives it a whimsical glistening look. You're basically drawing lowercase t's everywhere. Now for under the water, what I do is I do a line of the white and then I smear it so it looks like a ray of light. Start small, do a little blob, make sure you smear it before it dries. I feel like it just adds an extra aura to it. But yes, keeping the lines going up and down, it just gives the illusion of light coming through the water. And you can add little dots everywhere to be like bubbles. As you can see on the fish, the lines sort of went blurry, which I don't really like that for the fish, so I'm going over it with black pen. This just sort of cleans it up a little bit. I'm also adding brown marker to where the white went over the dirt. Now let's remove our safety sheet from underneath, and this is done. I feel like it's really pretty. I hope this tutorial was helpful. I really like how this picture turned out. I feel like it is exactly the color palette I was going for. But yeah, I like it. Make sure you give this video a like, subscribe if you wanna, and thank you for watching.